This question might sound a little bit.
Oh, sorry, either one.
My comment is, I guess I'm a blue-collar guy. So amongst my peers, I mean, I hear you guys talking about marriage being held in so much esteem and value, but I don't see that amongst my peers. As far as, people valuing marriage. And if there's a guy that has money, is considered middle class, he's more unlikely to get married and have a bunch of women, as opposed to like a woman who is middle class. She'll get a brother, she'll try to help him, build him up.
Have you read my book?
No, I'm just saying from my experience. And then what is a woman to do if she's not picked by anybody? What is she to do?
That's exactly the
I'm taking you on the road with me. These are all those are exactly the issues that arise. And in fact, one of the things that I was surprised to find is that the racial gap in marriage among men is actually wider among higher earning men than lower earning men. So it's wider among men who make over $100,000 a year, say, than among men who make 50. And men who make over $100,000 a year, black men are actually less likely to be married, men in their late 30s, than black men who make, say, $60,000 a year. So there's actual decline in marriage.
Hi. This question might sound a little bit silly, but is there any concern that younger generations of black girls will be disincentivized from achieving highly?
No. I mean, no. No. I mean, that they'll be achieving themselves out of the market. No. I think, and I'm the mother of 3, 20, 22, 26. I think what there is a realization. I think there's a realization, one, that they are going to look outside of the black male market, and the other thing that they may have to take care of themselves their whole lives, and they will make sure they are prepared. So I don't. Yeah.
And let me just clarify, factual misunderstanding that we didn't really flesh out is that marriage rates for all groups are associated with economic status. So middle class people are more likely to marry and have more stable marriages than working class people, upper middle class, and so forth. So black women actually improve their prospects on the relationship market by getting more education and having higher income. Right? And some people think that's not the case. That actually is the case. It's just that they're still not as likely to marry as their white counterparts.
So they're better off than the young women that didn't get an education.
Yes.
I just had a quick comment. I'm currently taking a course in which we are discussing the role of marriage in cultures, and this is kind of going back to the marriage aspect rather than like the racial aspect. But we've been talking a lot about the different types of marriage and the role of marriage in society, and we've kind of come to this conclusion that marriage has kind of lost its value in our society. It was a cultural, evolutionary, like natural selective adaptation at one point. It was required for women to be married in order to have any sort of social place. And now that society has moved forward, it's no longer necessary. And marriage has almost like lost its significance and its importance. So kind of what, and I'm sorry, I think your name was Melissa, what you were saying earlier about like whether we should even have marriage. And it's kind of become this really big issue where if it's even necessary, because a woman can have a life as a single woman and be just as successful now, whereas in the past it was required. And then there's also the cultural aspect where, for some cultures it's like completely required. You have arranged marriages and they're all very successful. Like for the most part, they have like a 98% success rate. Like 2% of arranged marriages get separated. So the lack of emphasis placed on the actual importance of the romantics of a relationship, it's solely based on the economics and the cultural need for the relationship. So anyways, just basically I want to kind of comment that is marriage required? It doesn't seem to be as much so because our culture in America is a mix of cultures, and so it really depends on where you originated from, what your parents believe, what you believe, and whether you need that partnership in life, whether you can go through life as successfully without a partner, which is now a possibility.
I agree with everything you said, and I'll just say that chapter 2 of the book addresses exactly those issues. And the quick way to sum it up is marriage has become less a necessity and more of a luxury.
I disagree. I think I disagree with everything. It's true that you don't have to get married. Women have more economic power now than they used to. But as Rick documents in the book, our society and our economy is such that even a person going it alone will recognize that it is in his or her best interest to partner up, because together you're better, you're economically more stable. And certainly that's the impulse you're hearing from the working class black men who marry the middle class black women, like they're pooling incomes. It makes sense. So I think Rick is right. It's not necessary. It is a luxury. And it's a luxury that makes sense to people because marriage is the way we privatize dependency. That's a big part of why people get married. There's love, certainly, but with love comes money, and you have to think about that too. And I think that's why I'm troubled by Rick's in the meantime solution, because in the meantime is so seductive because it is so easy. Right? It's easy to ignore the systemic problems and simply say, marry a white guy, marry an Asian guy, look outside of your race, and that's the problem.
Well, I just don't think that, I don't think that black women opening themselves to relationships with people of all different races is going to make us less likely to address the systemic structural problem. We have a lot of systemic structural problems, a lot of issues that result in 1 in 10 black men being in prison as we speak, making them only half as likely as black women to graduate college. The intimate segregation of black women is, that's not helping us to address that structural problem. I think it really does amount to holding black women hostage in a way that, and the ransom is not going to be paid.
I don't know if we're ready. And I just wanted to say that maybe some of the problems being dealt with by black middle-class women being the opportunity scholarships and small business loan program for working-class black men. And just because these couplings don't last does not mean there's not an economic transfer that actually improves the life stakes of these African-American men, and they may go on to be middle-class and be successful marriage partners, even if it's only for short-term marriages.
Well,
so I think we're pathologizing the current solution, the in-the-meantime solution, without a full understanding of whether or not it works and whether or not it's actually beneficial for the parties involved.
Well, I don't think I'm pathologizing it, but I do think it's too much to ask of black women for them to sacrifice. And this is odd to be a man saying this with a panel of mostly women, right? But I think it is, but I do have 3 sisters, but I think it's too much to ask of black women for them to sacrifice the sorts of relationships that they would like because they want to, sacrifice that on the altar of helping black men. Black men need a lot of programs. Let's be clear about that. They need a lot of rehabilitation, but that should be through programs, not through relationships. And there's no evidence at all that this sort of stand by the black man approach has actually bolstered the black community. It has led to 70% of black children being born out of wedlock. It's led to nearly 2 out of every 3 black couples divorcing. It's led to a level of acrimony that can only be described as unprecedented. And I think that we're not helping anyone through promoting bad relationships for the sake of the community.